Welcome back. We are heading into our second game of the day, and because that first game was rather short, we have a little bit of time to chat around this Tricked versus XL matchup, because it is going to be an interesting one. Both teams sitting at the top of Group A right now, and actually, the predictions were split across the board. Now, I promised Jamada that he would get his first word in on this matchup, but I know that Gulbug and Jamada have both predicted Tricked coming into this. I'm going to start with you, Jamada. Why have you chosen Tricked? What do you think Tricked has that gives them the edge over BTXL, who have classically been considered the strongest roster in our competition?
Makes me proud.
I still do believe XL probably are the strongest roster in particularly this group, but Tricked have honestly been playing out of their mind. They look really, really clean in almost every aspect of the word. Early game, laning, macro rotations, into Herald, neutral objectives, all the control that they've just been playing really, really, really damn good. You put me on the spot, Gulbug. You said impress me. I'm trying to talk about your Danish friends. But look, I think particularly as well, the last iteration of Tricked in summer was pretty impressive, also into fall. And Archu is the only returning member of that roster. And it seems like at the moment, the focus is actually being put on Archu. Archu for both games, though you could maybe argue about the Ashe one. Resources have been going into him, and it seems like he is the focal point of this current version of Tricked, and it looks pretty damn good, if I'm honest with you.
And I really like the way that they're putting resources into Archu, because it's not necessarily that they're all just gathering around Archu, let's just four-man bot lane every time. It's also, they are doing what XL used to be known for in UKLC. When there's neutral objectives up, only 4 of the members are going to contest it. The rest of, or the enemy doesn't really dare contesting it, but they're still there for some reason because they want to do the rotation. And meanwhile, all that happens, Archu is just sitting in another lane getting solo resources, and that's what we usually see in how they get ahead as well. What I want to highlight as well is, for once in the Nordic League, Nilla is being properly used. I finally see him getting resources every now and then, and I finally see him on champions he's able to shine on. Nilla versus Arome is going to be my highlight of today. Arome is topping the top lane charts of stats in every way possible. He's number 1 in everything. He is by far the best top laner we have in the league. Nilla has been playing against Flaxes. He's been playing against Waysor, but this is the final boss you need to overcome if you want to prove that you're at that level.
Well, it looks like we've started off the picks and bans with a respect ban towards Nille himself with that Irelia. I know that Paulson and Nille can both play Irelia, but obviously Nille more specifically known for that. Renekton off the table, and I'm so glad, because every time I see Renekton, he just feels like ridiculously unkillable with Goredrinker especially. Lucian has been banned away here. And actually one of the question marks that I've had over BTXL has been Hat-Tricks, actually. I feel like Hat-Tricks maybe hasn't been at his prime level as of yet. I think I'm still waiting for Hat-Tricks to come online. I would give him credit. I would say when you've got a roster like Deadly, Arome, Markoon, it can be a little bit difficult to stand out because they're all really good. But Hat-Tricks for me is a really experienced veteran player. And so I'd like to see Hat-Tricks get a bit of the spotlight for XL.
I completely agree. And that's like, the matchup with this all over the place are so nice. Obviously, BTXL, as you said yourself, a roster made of star players. It really is. But I want to see Paulson now. I've been talking a lot about this guy. His KDAs are insane. He's insanely consistent. He's the reason why you get all this pressure on the map for Tricked, because he gets onto a control mage. He keeps the map open for them. He gets the priority open for flippers as well. He's one of the key components for this roster and their success to play around the other members. Well,
Olaf's left open. That's what I was kind of umming and hawing about. Going for the Twisted Fate ban, just straight respect to Hat-Tricks, really. And now I'm curious to see whether Tricked will take the other side of the jungle matchup in Graves, because that's still up and available for Flipper. And then also thinking, how highly do they rate Archu's AD carry pick too? Is this going to be the first rotation we see?
So traditionally, they have gone for either Lilia or Nidalee as soon as they could for Flipper. And one of the things as well is that they always just blind pick for Nilla. Nilla will always blind pick, leave the counter pick open for Paulson as well, so they can get that priority in the mid lane. But here's the thing as well. Nilla haven't lost a single matchup in the top lane, even though he was counter picked every time. So he's very confident. But you're not just against any other top laner now. You are against the Rome, and obviously the Renekton into Camille is a hard matchup. That's why you ban the Renekton. But that doesn't mean there's still not champions that can punish a Camille like this. But if you force the Malphite here as well, that's very interesting. It makes sense, but at the same time, pretty interesting to see a Romeo on that champion.
Well, Malphite obviously can do fine into Camille in the early laning phase. Like, you know, whenever she jumps on you, just ground slam, she loses attack speed. It's difficult to trade effectively. But later in the game, you're going to lose that side lane matchup pretty much all the time, right? Like, later in the game, it's going to be a really big struggle for you to deal with the scaling of the Camille in the side lane. So that, to me, lends me to believe that XL are probably not playing for something that's going to be going later into the game. They look like they're, you know, potentially looking to just take control early and keep control. But the Alistair gets locked in super early. I mean, just look at the ridiculous amounts of CC coming through from the XL roster already. They've left open their mid and AD to go through to that second phase. And I do think, you know, maybe Trix could pick up an AD here and then start to ban things away for that second rotation.
Very interesting that we would see the Graves going to come in. Yeah, there we go. The Lilia makes way more sense to me in terms of what kind of player Flippers is as well. And both comms right now is, we want to go ham. This is going to be a team fighting composition from both sides already. If you didn't have already picked the Camille Galio, you could have kind of went for a composition like the Victor Jin, or you want to play the ground, you want them to come running at you, and you'll play around that. None of that now. We are fighting in this game.
I'm not sure. I'm not all too sold on that though, Gorborg. I feel like Trick still have the option to play back because Lilia and Galio are so good at like controlling space. And honestly, even Nile on the Camille can play a more sort of peelish style if it's necessary. I'm curious on how far down we're going to go in these mid bans now, because we've seen Silas and Oriana removed. And I also want to know whether Galio is going to end up mid or whether he's going to end up in the hands of Blue down in the bottom lane, because Galio is still a flex pick. And realistically, Tricked would probably take their highest priority AD carry. I think Xayah would do wonders. I think even BTXL might be thinking about just throwing that one out there just as a ban, because Xayah kind of wrecks what BTXL are running at the moment.
My issue is I feel like if BTXL don't get Kai'Sa, I feel they might actually be in a rough spot when it comes to AD, because I think that you, from what you've got here, is Malphite, Alistair, Olaf. What do they want to do? The only thing they can do is run at you. Like there isn't much you can do like outside of just run at the team, and therefore I think that you expose yourself to Camille coming in the back line, maybe with the Galio combination. So I'm a little bit worried, I guess, in that sense. But you know, if they can get Kai'Sa, then maybe that's something that you can follow up with, and you can actually just have a full dive type composition coming out from BTXL. Just depends what. Xayah would be a great lock-in, as you said. Like Xayah would be ultimately very good, but you could deny that. You could deny the Kai'Sa as well if you wanted to.
The Kai'Sa, it actually is going to be the Kai'Sa here. That's very interesting, because Xayah can serve the same purpose for you as well, and we have seen it starting to be picked up into the Kai'Sa as well. We've seen it in the LEC, but we've also seen it a lot in the LPL. So it's not a matchup that you're unfamiliar with in this kind of meta, and it's a champion that also follows up nicely when you got that CC, so you can layer some feathers on the ground, follow it up with some extra CC with the root. But that could be a Seraphine AD. And this is a champion that can go both mid. Both champions here can go AD and mid. This is flexes for both champions.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, I think, for Tricks around.
This is a really interesting comp, actually. Is this going to be like a return to the... Is this going to be a return to like the kind of like Lux Sona style compositions that we saw? I mean, it could be Yone AD carry for Deadly though.
So like we have Orcs pointing it out in chat as well, but the thing is with Seraphine is that you just get you just keep perma stacking or pushing in the waves all the time. Your wave play, your CC, it's so reliable for you to just get the items in there and then be a heal board later in the game. So that's why it could be so obnoxious to play against. But what counters healing is just instantly blowing a target up so they won't have the chance to heal, and you got the tools for that as well if you want to in the side of trade.
Yeah, I'm looking at the XL comp, and it's like there is no peel back button. They only have one button, and that's go, and that's go hard. And so I think like they kind of have to make that work for them. Whereas Tricked, I think, have a little bit more tools in their roster. They have the 1-3-1 potential. They have that ability to just burst that Seraphine out. Jamada, like closing thoughts on these two comps before we head into game.
I think Tricked have a little more versatility in their composition. They're not afraid to go forward. They can definitely go back. XL, I think the Seraphine might warp the scaling aspects that I have in my head. Normally, with a composition like this of XL, I'd say if they fall behind, it might actually end up just being outright doomed. But the Seraphine might be able to save that just because of how much utility she actually provides to a melee composition like that.
Well, the XL roster were one of the first rosters to bring out the Sona Lux when we saw it previously when it was popular last year. They were the ones to bring out was it the Taric Sona or the Taric Lux that we saw as well in their previous iterations? They were the ones that were bringing out the sort of the unique bot lanes, and they're going to do it again this time round in the NLC Spring. So we're going to hand it over to Orcs and Hitbrain for this game.
I'm glad that we got a new quote from Gulborg there. You know, if you want to counter healing, just kill him.
Well,
it's effective.
It's not quite win lane, win game, but
no.
you know,
Just
that one transcends, honestly. Still applicable in this game. Win lane, win game, very applicable in this game, I'd say as
Absolutely.
well. Always can rely on Gulborg for those, just those little nuggets of knowledge.
He's very annoyed at us right now. I like the desk was saying, Trick do have a bit of flexibility in their comp, but goddamn, I love this XL comp. I love this XL comp so much. I'm just excited for these big wombo kind of 5-on-5 team fights. I think level 6 is when we're probably going to see some action start to break out in this game. Early, you expect to see Markun or the Olaf just kind of running around the map and being a general nuisance. Talk to me a little bit about the Lilia Olaf matchup.
I think it's one of those situations where Lilia can often utilize her movement speed to kind of just like keep Olaf at bay. But if Olaf is just super strong in skirmishes, so Lilia can kind of just like, you know what I mean? If like you're not hitting an axe, you're not going to be able to chase Lilia down. And even if you hit an axe, you can often just get away. So Flipper should be able to play this one quite well, but it all depends on the lanes. If Markun is given assistance, if Alistair can move and lock down Flipper, then Flipper can just get absolutely decimated. And the thing is, obviously, post 6, Flipper's sleep isn't as good as a tool as it would otherwise be against other champions. And Olaf can just kind of use the extra movement speed to run you down. I think mid-game, this Olaf's going to spike. I think this entire composition of BTXL spikes really hard in the mid-game because they're just going to feel unkillable. They have such a strong front line, and their team fight is going to be super strong. I think if they do struggle in the mid-game, if they don't find as much as they'd maybe want to, their late game, I feel like they will fall off a little bit because they'll be so reliant on hat tricks for damage. And I think particularly if you find a split fight where everyone's just like spread out, I think the BTXL might have issues just because they don't actually have that many damage sources on their composition and they kind of want that big wombo combo. So if Trick get to the later stages, if they avoid fighting in chokes, if they have big open fights, if they look to use their side laners effectively, Trick are in a position where they could win this. It's just the early pressure I'm worried about.
I mean, both have two really nice comps, actually, even if you look at them. I think it's not just like, okay, XL have a good team fighting comp. Trick also have a very good team fighting comp. So it's going to be a really interesting game, actually, and I'm excited to get into the kind of the meat of the action. For now, though, we are just looking at the bot side. Balut, with the Aftershock, lands that Justice Punch and gets himself a pretty nice trade.
How insane is it?
Alistair, you kind of expect this when you play Alistair.
But how
Level
insane
1 is going to be rough.
How insane is that Galio damage, though? Just E-auto, and you just... So much of Advian's health bar. I think ultimately it's one of those things where you could see BTXL weren't even trying to contest priority, by the way. They actually could have contested priority with a Seraphine, but Deadly specifically didn't use his Q, and when he did use his Q, he used it on Blue. So this was a conscious decision by BTXL not to even try and contest the wave.
Well, that does mean level 2 was going to get hit first by Tricked, but it's quickly matched by XL on the bot side. Paulson having a pretty rough time here versus Hat Tricks. Already goes in to the Shadow form. Has got the Doran's shield and the Fleet footwork for a bit of healing on Hat Tricks, so he's able to keep himself somewhat okay, but Hat Tricks is just bullying the hell out of Paulson right now.
Yeah, the sustain and the Fleet footwork and the Doran shield is great, but you have to have enough HP that you're not going to get all in, you know?
Yeah.
If you're in a comfortable spot, you can just sustain up, but if you get chunked down that low, it starts to get really concerning, and that's why you might have to burn the teleport, so Paulson needs to be careful, but is kind of able to fix things to a degree in that point. This is why they try to go for the freeze.
Oh, looking for the taunt, as actually that's going to make so much damage into Advian. He's ignited, will survive, but damn, that was close. Good flash there by Achu to not get clipped by the headbutt pole from Advian, and that turned that gank around massively. Tricked doing very good stuff here in the bot side as Hat-Trick's continuing to just deal with Paulson. It's one of those things I kind of forget about when you play Yone actually into the Akali is the shield you get from your W and just the width of it means you're probably going to hit the Akali inside the Shroud.
Yeah, you can just throw it down, kind of guarantee it. So still have trading tools when you're in that situation. It kind of seemed like that was a very planned gank from BTXL, the way they played the early laning phase to basically give up the push and the way Olaf came down. But Advian just not able to land anything. It was a great flash from Achu. If he didn't get that, potentially could have gone down. But I think critically, both Deadly and Advian were level 2, and really level 3 is where this lane spikes. But in honesty, with that scenario, I don't think things change drastically if they are level 3. I mean, I guess Deadly has the shield, so Advian wouldn't go quite as low, but still, overall, it's kind of an even trade in terms of summoners. Flash and Ignite for Flash from BTXL. So BTXL will go for a reset, at least for Advian. And it's now a sort of window where you could see him potentially pair up with his jungler. I think with the wave position bot lane, he needs to go fix this first. But then after that, he's got the boots. He can start to move around with Marcoon. And if they do find Flipper, the combo can really put him in a difficult spot.
Yeah, Deadly actually lost a fair amount of this farm, as Advian did go for the reset, and that ultimately costs him as a Blue maybe looking for a setup. They know he's there, so they've got the headbutt pole, they've got the snare and the double Q. Baloo aftershocks on, but it's first blood for Advian.
Just really disrespectful. You could see Baloo starting to think, oh, maybe Deadly's out of position here. Maybe he's walking up too far. You have to expect this, especially as Deadly has cleanse and flash. It's not like you were ever going to find a kill there, even if, like, within a reasonable amount of time. He gets baited in, and you can see the powerful CC chain that the Seraphine offers. Alistar finds the combo, the Seraphine E comes out and stuns, and then you can just stun with your E from Alistar. So very difficult to really play around that.
Olsen actually going for the all-in here on Hatrix. Hatrix has to ult to safety.
Yeah, you're fine in that situation, trading ults. Obviously a big thing. Oh.
Shields on Hatrix, got the shadow, and he just finds a solo kill. Hold on.
Just an overstep from Paulson. Goes back in. Hasn't really done the damage, doesn't have the reactivated ultimate to use as an execute, and Hatrix with his E cooldown able to find a consistent DPS to take down Paulson. 2 times so far this game we've seen Trick make some mistakes in lane. Really just XL outplaying.
Oh, Deadly. A lot of damage being put in here. Is able to just about get out, has to burn the cleanse, and Blue's gonna take a little bit of damage in response, but Trick, they're hunting.
Blue has Ignite.
Blue has Flash. Deadly, does he have the W up in time? No, he doesn't. Blue gets the kill.
Manages to find it. So a mistake coming out from Deadly, a bit overconfident there. And a nice punish. It's good to see. And now without Flash, without Cleanse, Deadly is a vulnerable target. We're going to see the replay. Oh, so this is actually the mid lane replay. So Paulson's coming back in and he just ults the wave. So you no longer have your ult available as a trading tool. And Hatrix capitalizes on that. Very quickly stacks up the Conqueror. Gets that extra damage from his E, able to finish off Paulson. Just kind of sloppy from Paulson. Kind of thought like, okay, I guess we're done here. And so used the ultimate and put himself in a really rough position.
Seeker's finished up onto Paulson. Well, he's had it for a little while, but even so, not really enough to keep him going in that one. Attack speed boots on Hatrix. Pretty much expected from Yones and Yasuo. This is the first base on the Berserker's Greaves. Overall, just looking at component items, Mythic's a little bit of a ways away.
So we are
the mirror.
We are seeing, so in the bot lane, when you're playing AD carry Seraphine, there's sort of 2 bit different main builds. There's the AP heavy build with like Ludens and such, and then there's the more supported build, Moonstone, Staff of Flow and Water. And we are seeing the Moonstone build here, which I think honestly is the right call in terms of what BTXL want to do. Their mid game is going to be insanely good. Yeah. But and it does mean that there's going to be situations where Tricked might struggle to find headway, might struggle to find the damage. But it also means they are super reliant on Hatrix to be that big DPS threat. Marcoon as well. Once those 2 are down, if either of those 2 misplay, overstep, get bursted, BTXL will really be lacking damage.
Rift secured there for Marcoon and Hatrix as they move down to make sure XL can pick that one up. Avian actually just goes for the flash pole into the taunt. Coming down onto Baloo, he's not going to get into tower range. Achu with a very clutch flash saved his own life, but there is a jungler waiting about in the wings, that bot side. Hatrix just going for a trade versus Paulson. Is going to get him with the Spirit Cleave and the Mortal Shield knockup, Mortal Steel knockup, sorry. There's taunts coming down from Baloo. Not going to hit anybody, though.
I like the play from Advian using the level 6 from the Seraphine. Really powerful tool for locking targets down. And Achu, without cleanse, is a vulnerable target, but a nice flash once again from Achu to keep himself safe. You can see how sort of tenuous the situation it was. If he does flash late, if he doesn't get it off, then he's just going to get CC chained and die.
Rome here in this top lane versus Nilly. He's doing quite fine. He's obviously going to get outscaled, but farming a storm up on this Malphite and we'll be able to do something here. As the two-man taunt comes down, the Ragnarok's being used, and that is Flipper forced to flash, but the Sleet comes in and Baloo actually gets his second kill. Hatrix is making his way over, has the fate sealed, but not going to pull that trigger as he's been seen on top of the ward and does not want to get caught out. Advian is a little bit too overeager, not really recognizing the fact that Trick knew what was going on there.
And critically, didn't have his ult available or his flash to get out of that situation. You can see there how Olaf and Alistair together can really make Flipper's life difficult. You can see how he had to flash away. The ult was useless against Olaf. But ultimately, Baloo finds a great play. The unsuspecting Galio taunting out the brush, and they're able to get a 1-for-0. So nice moves there. And also defends this beautiful vision line that Trick have put up in the river. We saw in the previous game how Olaf loves to be able to pick up those early dragons, likes to clear them himself. But right now, control completely in favor of Tricked here. Potential for them to start up, but for the most part, denying Marcoon access to the river.
Yeah, really big. 10 minutes on the clock, and gold in favor of Tricked right now. Talking about how XO had a good mid game, but falling a little bit behind the curve. It's not a massive gold lead, and it might just get a little bit bigger. Advian able to get away. Did have to pop the Unbreakable. Wave's been shoved in, and Riftel's been used. So Hatrix is actually just looking to play interrupts, making sure he gets close enough to get the plate gold. And Dragon's going to remain aggroed. Ragnarok available. Hatrix looking for his opportunity to come in. He secured himself the dragon. Here comes the fate seal. Baloo's the one caught out. Snared up by Deadly over the wall as Achu cashes in on a kill. So far, it's a 2-for-1. Deadly throws out the charm, catches on, but Advian will lose his life. And it's a double kill for Achu.
Ends up being a 2-for-2 there, so nothing really in favor of either side. Neither top laner having TP. Surely those both times, so they knew it was just a 4v4. And yeah, I mean, the dragon goes over to BTXL, so they come out the winners of that one. But 2 kills onto this Kai'Sa can be a bit concerning. Now, you can see Hatrix has priority mid lane thanks to Herald, so he's going to get access first. So a little bit dangerous, especially with Flipper jumping in. His fate is just guaranteed there. And the other target is Blue, so not the greatest coordination coming out from BTXL as they didn't find the ideal target. And then on the later end, they're just so scared of this Akali and the full HP Kai'Sa. Deadly, not really a whiff, but Achu dodges away from the ultimate. And at that point, they know, we've lost our major damage threats. We've lost our major cooldowns. We can't really continue this fight. And I think both teams can come out of that relatively happy. I think with Flipper dying so quickly, Trick definitely could have seen that one going worse. Yeah.
Well, as the bases have come in, we take a little stock of where we are item-wise. Chu's finished up his Kraken Slayer. Hatrix got the Vamp Scepter, so he's quite okay taking his trades of Paulson, just healing back up as he lands a tail knock-up as well on that. In the bot lane, that Moonstone's finished up. Gordrinker or Marcoon, that's the big one for the Olaf. The Leeching Leer for Paulson, so still working towards that Riftmaker.
Yeah, I mean, he's already got a full item there in the Seeker's Arm Guard. As good as you're going to get with the value of that, and especially in a matchup like this. A lot of heavy trading, but they will spot Marcoons. I don't think Paulson's going to go further, but a ton of sustain on both of these two, so trading's not going to stick too heavily. It's kind of, if you find a window to all in or a teammate arrives, then you can definitely make a play. But speaking of a teammate arriving, looks like BTXL are going to try and go for a dive onto Nile here, and he is sensing it.
Yeah, Marcoon's found him. Misses the axe, though, and that hook shot's going to be enough to get him away, so just going to be a Reme getting a plate or two in the top side. This is giving an opening for Flipper to move over as well. They do have Baloo in the area, and Baloo has ultimate. Camille plus Galio actually is a very filthy combination. Easy to follow up, easy to land that knock up from the Galio. So smartly, Arome is going to back away.
Yeah, but ultimately got the plate, denied some farm. There's a nice rotation from Marcoon. Obviously, a lot of the focus was on the bot side of the map, and with Dragon being down, had a window to push over. I feel like XL applying a lot of pressure across the map here, rotating members, and Trick to always really slow on the uptake, kind of just catching up. But right now, you can see Achu happy in the bot lane, farming up. 20 CS lead over Deadly. Has the most gold in the game thanks to those 2 kills. And that's the big scary thing, is if this Kai'Sa gets really fed, there's a lot more threats on the side of Trick.
Yeah.
If you're worried about the Kai'Sa, but then there's also the Camille and the Akali. That's where it starts to get concerning, because BTXL have a lot of utility, have a lot of CC to facilitate their carries, but they just don't have that many.
Expect to see some action in the next minute 30 as Dragon will be spawning up. XL will pick themselves up the Rift Herald here. They've rotated their bot side over, and this means that at this third Dragon, XL will have something to work with.
It feels like XL have a better read on where to be. Pressure mid lane amounts to the tower, but then you can see Marcoon getting control of this Herald, and Trickter's setting up vision for this Dragon in advance. But the thing is, XL can just reset and use the Herald to further benefit themselves in making their way into River. If they throw down the Herald mid, Trick have to respond, and they can find access to the River.
And the shield bow's been finished up as well. The red buff is reset.
Yeah, Hatrix will take that.
Steal that away. Hatrix is going to be able to pick this one up.
Wait, I saw pings on Marcoon, and I was like, no way Hatrix leaves this. And you can see Trickter trying to maintain pressure around the River, but it's 40 seconds till Dragon, and Marcoon has the Herald, so very easy for them to utilize that if they want to force Trick to respond and make their way in. But honestly, I think XL can kind of just move in with the Alistair going as a front runner.
Fate sealed into the taunt. Hatrix has to ping back to safety. Lilting Lullaby is going to land, and this will be him going low. It will be him going almost down. The shield bow stealing. Going to keep him up for the moment. The headbutt pole comes in. A Chu flashes away to safety. Marcoon and Deadly now joining in to this fight. Here comes the Galio ultimate. Here comes the charm. It's going to hit onto the back line. Axe is going to slide in, but they've got the teleport. And now XL find themselves outmanned and outnumbered. Looking for the knock-up on to Arome. Arome caught inside. Arome is still alive, able to flash away as Avian is getting out of this one. And Tricked ultimately find the pick. Feels like Hatrix just went way too ham there.
I mean, definitely did, and this is the problem. They lose Hatrix, and despite the strength of BTXL in the mid game, the healing from Seraphine keeping them alive, without that damage deal on trouble, they're going for the engage.
Teleport's coming in. They've already got Baloo going very, very low. Dragon has been secured, and it was stolen away by XL, so that is their third. Paulson inside his own shroud has to flash away to safety. XL turned a bad situation into a pretty good one.
Yeah, Grey Steel from Marcoon secures the Dragon. They got the third already, and Ocean Soul for this composition would be devastating. Gonna be playing that one, so this is just Hatrix trying to... I just think he blundered. I don't know, because he saw the Galio there. Maybe just thought he could go for a trade and get out, but ultimately Achu's able to chase him down. Another good flash from Achu, and honestly, you got to consider the strength of BTXL's composition, because they end up in a 4v5 scenario, but the power of this front line with Seraphine keeping them healthy just means they're able to do much better than they have any right to do in this team fight. And Tricked are just unable to really commit any more than they already are. The healing's coming in, the tanks are super hard to deal with, and then it's that TP from the Yone that manages to sink this one. Great initial combo. You can see low health bars. The Galio gets instantly decimated. Marcoon flashing over, and then Flipper. Once you're in melee range with that Olaf, it's just not a fun time.
Yeah. Star for Flame of Water finished up now. On to Deadly as well. Hatrix actually will benefit from the AP he'll get from that. Nilly currently losing a trade here versus Arome, although is about to probably lose his life as the taunt comes in and gets himself the knock-up from the ulti, but Blue's just going to take one tower shot.
Not quite a 1v1, but a good play. There's not really anything on the map that BTXL can do that can set vision up around Baron, but with the Baron not being available, nothing really to take. So perfect window for a play like that to come in.
Gold's actually fairly close.
Also, I just checked, by the way, Jake, to make sure, but Yone doesn't actually have any AP ratios, so you won't benefit from that.
His ultimate and his passive have AP ratio.
They deal magic damage. They don't have AP ratio.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Wait.
you can see the little
Yeah,
axe.
you're right. You're right. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, there you go.
Interesting. Okay.
So it doesn't really benefit him too much. Doesn't really benefit Olaf too much.
But Advian,
There's a lot of
he's
champions.
got some AP scaling.
True. There's a lot of champions that, like, when you look at the power of the Moonstone and Stuff of Flow and Water, you can talk about, you know, just because they aren't AP champions doesn't mean they don't benefit from the AP. But Olaf and Yone definitely are not two of those. So
They get the movement speed still. So it's not all bad. Romain needs to be a little careful, though. I don't know if Paulson really has the damage to kill him. I don't feel like anybody has the damage really to die here. But Romain's still playing respect. Ocean Soul will be coming up in 1 minute 50.
I think
And I think that's the moment where if XL can secure that, then that kind of mid-game scaling has some late-game options for them.
I mean, that's the thing. Is it's not like his composition falls off a cliff. I think the big thing is that it just has so much strength now. They're even in gold, but the problem is I feel like Tricked would love to have more time to wait. Because right now, I think this is like critical mass for BTXL. Their front line feels unkillable. Kai'Sa does not have the items to shred through them effectively. And with the support from Seraphine healing them up, it's going to be tricky. It really is. And it's not like Nilly can just split and provide pressure there. So this is one of the situations where not being able to pick up those early dragons has really hurt Tricked because they need to contest this. There's no choice in the matter. And the thing is, even if BTXL secure it, even if they don't necessarily do great in the fight, it's just going to give them so much strength. Especially when you have like a Spirit Visage being built by Marcoon.
We're seeing Hatrix building towards the Bloodthirster, hasn't finished it up, and unless he's willing to go back and teleport, isn't going to have it up for the fight. So there won't be a Bloodthirster finished up. But Hatrix now on the receiving end of a lot of hurt here as everything is layered in. He gets caught out by the CC. And Hatrix once again gets killed before the dragon.
Yeah, and this is a big problem. Hatrix being caught out of position, and critically, he is a big portion of their damage. We're at the point where Olaf's still very relevant, and even the damage coming up from the likes of the the Seraphine and the Malphite are still doing a fair bit, but without that Yone, it is a problem. Now, his TP is going to be up, and he's going to spawn slightly after Dragon. So Tricked, they really want to make an impact here and now before he's available.
Well, they're looking for Marcoon. Slow comes down from the Chilling Smite, and that's actually one of those Smite charges used. Nilly going to take an axe to the face and take a little bit of damage here, so he has to hook shot away to safety. TP will be coming in soon as Hatrix is alive. The charm lands onto 2, and that is already 1 in favor of XL. Slamming down onto a 2 as he has to flash away as in goes Hatrix, securing the shutdown for the team. And this is an XL whitewash right now. Flipper golden as he finds himself a kill onto Marcoon. Jungler down, but XL somehow still keeping this fight going. Trick do a good job actually to buy themselves a little bit of space, but Paulson has to flip back. And Hatrix will be able to chase him for the kill here. 4 for 2.
TB coming in was a critical thing. Hatrix able to deliver, and you saw there, just took so long for BTXL to really cut down this team. Deadly able to get a ton of healing off in that team fight. With the Ocean Soul now, XL look to be in a really good spot. We're going to get a replay of that one. So a bit of an ambitious play from Trick started this off, and then the engage here, the combo into the charm, and then this Malphite ult from Arome. We've seen so many great flashes from Achu, but he wasn't able to find one there. And then without that Kai'Sa, the damage is just limited. You can see the healing coming in. They do manage to take out Marcoon, but they just can't cut through all of these beefcakes, especially with the Seraphine support.
Yeah, it's so much sustain, and now Bloodthirster, Shield both finished up, adding to the sustain on Hatrix. Providing he doesn't get caught out randomly in a jungle 1 versus 4 again, then he should be pretty okay. With the Ocean Soul in his pocket, this team is going to be near immortal at this point.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I want to see if the Observer shows the Moonstone numbers. This could be the one where we see some big numbers.
No?
Come on. I need to see the Moonstone numbers. I'm not going to be satisfied till I do.
You might have to wait until after Baron. There you go.
be fair, I've seen bigger.
Oh, for God's sake.
As I always say, but
I'm so fed up with this. Baron half health and
no flash on the jungler.
no flash on the jungler, but that jungler is already caught out, shut down, and Hatrix just slides back into pit. And they're going to be able to finish up the Baron Nashor. Ocean Soul and Baron in XL's pocket.
And XL now in a really great position. Critical things is that Ocean Soul gave them so much strength. They were already strong at this point, but having that secured means they're confident to go for this play. The engage comes out on the flashless Lilia. Lilia has to move close to even threaten a steal. And it's just easy engage in BTXL. They have so many point-and-click tools. And then the sustain means that they're not even vaguely threatened by that Baron damage. And they've hit the checkpoints. You know, if this game got to 30 minutes, 32 minutes or something, and they hadn't picked up Soul, gold was even, hadn't really done anything, then I would have been concerned for XL. But their mid-game, they really hit a big stride, and they can just continue that pressure now.
Paulson. Shuriken actually goes to the old back, but Advian forces him to flash away. Shirelia's on, and the Ignite is there. Advian will just chase him down. Pulverizes the minions. He's just helping with the wave clear. Don't worry about that.
He's just angry.
Arone getting jumped onto. The big combos there. They've got the taunt. Knockout comes in, and the bowling ball is going to hit. That's going to be one. Sleepy Mountain. Kill's going to get secured by Flipper.
Nice play coming in on the other side of the map from Trick there. Nothing really gained from BTXL on the top side, and that response forces a reset. So a nice opportunity to buy time from the side of Tricked. It's the power of that Camille Galio combo. When you want to pick, you can just find one. Nothing really the Malphite can do. They potentially could have ulted away there instead of ulting in, but realistically, they have so many tools to chase them. Once the Lilia bowling ball connects, nothing really you can do in that scenario.
You see the goal graph over time on your screens coming up, and wow, that went from pretty even to AXL real quick.
And that's the thing is, forcing fights on your spikes when you're strong. Trick don't have a choice, had to contest that, and now BTXL did get that Baron push slowed down by that pick, but still feeling really powerful. Only 2,000 gold up though. It's not like we sometimes see teams, they'll get the Baron, they'll get a fight, and they'll suddenly be like 5,000 gold ahead. The lead isn't massive, but it's really that Ocean Soul that is such a massive factor. And I think when you look at the gold scores, the person who I think just feels underwhelming is Paulson right now. There's no good target for him to be able to kill.
Oh, they're looking for Hatrix. He goes in for the Fate Seal. Called into the Hextech Ultimatum. Hatrix going low. Hatrix down as Flipper secures the kill. Lilting Lullaby was used, but a massive charm from Deadly is going to land. And Tricked are looking for these XL members. Marcoon taking a fair amount of damage, and Nilly gets the sweep. But that is one dead deer as they trade out 2-for-1.
They just can't kill them. Even though they take down Hatrix at this point, the Ocean Soul and the healing from Deadly is just so huge. Like I saw, you said Marcoon took a ton of damage and then his health just flew back up. They just don't have the tools to continue these fights, to burn through all of this beef on the side of BTXL, and I'll just keep pushing.
Trick were taking Gulborg's advice there, though. They saw someone with a lot of healing and they just killed him.
Yeah, true. But you know what they didn't take the advice of? Win lane, win game.
No, they didn't, and this is feeling like a pretty one game for XL. Taunts are going to land a Chew back into the fight for the moment, doing a fair amount of damage to Arome, but he is just healing back up like it's nothing, and Paulson on the wrong side of history now. Going to go very low as Hatrix slides away to safety, and Paulson will lose his life. Tricked have 4 members, and they have waves crashing in to their base right now. XL just buying a bit of time as Flipper jumps in, looking for a potential Lilting Lullaby onto 5 members. The Fate Seal's going to connect, and a Chew being chased down, getting knocked up underneath the towers, underneath the Nexus. He loses his life, and Hatrix pings back to safety. Big knock up for Arome, and that's the charm. That's the double kill. That's the ace, and that is the game. XL close out in style versus Tricked.
Pretty devastating performance from BTXL. All those Tricked voting analysts prove them wrong, but ultimately I feel like Tricked had good moments there, had good opportunities, but critically not securing that 3rd dragon forced them to fight on XL's power spikes, and this composition spiked so hard. It hit that point where it's like the only option Tricked had was find a pick, and even when they did that, if it wasn't at the right time, XL just brute forced. They had so much engage, so much CC, and critically, one thing to note is you saw Hatrix getting caught out a lot. Deadly was never touched. Deadly in the Seraphine was sitting in the back line, getting so much value, and he was never threatened. So although we saw some mistakes there from the mid laner, Deadly just played it perfectly and allowed his team to really flourish. And it kind of felt like being forced to fight in that scenario was just so difficult for Tricked.
Turns out Deadly's not just a wicked AD carry, he's a wicked Seraphine as well. We're going to throw to a break and let our analyst break that game down a little bit more after this, so we'll see you in a second.
Welcome back to the NLC. XL take the win with their Seraphine AD carry, but it was close. Don't get me wrong. That game was close for the majority. There was some parts where you really felt like maybe there was going to be a bit of a sort of a swing team fight that went in the other way. But unfortunately, XL managed to get control of those neutral objectives. You both called it out correctly. It was going to be the classic XL way, control the neutral objectives, snowball from there, and that's eventually what they ended up doing. Before we dive into that game, though, I do have an interview with Marcoon, so I'm going to bring him to have a chat. Hello, Marcoon. Hi, how are you? I hope you're doing well.
Thank you. I'm good.
Good. I mean, obviously you got your first victory. Sorry, not your first victory. You obviously got a victory today here versus Tricked. It was a pretty close affair. The Seraphine AD carry came out, but obviously this is your first split on XL.
Yeah.
How are you finding being part of the team? How are you finding integrating into XL, especially like an academy roster?
I think it has been an overall pleasant experience. I think the organization is really good. It has provided us with like a lot of tools to improve. And I think the atmosphere in the team is good. We're all learning. We're all focusing really hard on improving. And I think so far it's going quite well.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are clearly off to a great start in the NLC. We all obviously thought your roster was going to be incredibly strong. In this game, you brought out the Seraphine AD carry for Deadly. What is the theory behind the Seraphine AD carry? How does it work, and what is it supposed to do in the comp that you're running?
I mean, Seraphine AD carry is like kind of like Sona. Like eventually, when she gets to 2 items, she just runs you down in team fights, and you just kind of stack up as 5-man. And in early game, she just wave clears the wave and allows your support to roam as well towards mid, which is really strong. So.
And did you guys know that, essentially forcing early soul, trying to obtain every dragon was going to be key to victory? Was there any point in this game where you felt like maybe you'd lost that lead that you needed to win?
I mean, I think we made some mistakes around the drakes, causing them to be a bit more flippy, like getting caught. But I got the smite steal in 1 as well, which is a bit close. But overall, I think we kept the control over the game, even though we made some mistakes. So I think we're in the driver's seat most of the game. Yeah,
I clearly, and I think a lot of people have kind of talked about XL being finally looking like the best roster in the NLC, because there's always been that competition with Fnatic. There's always been that competition with Fnatic for the NLC, and previously to that there was always the competition between XL and Fnatic. Do you think that this is the split where you can definitively say that XL are going to win? They're going to beat Fnatic once and for all and claim the title?
Yeah, I think definitely. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Like, we got to still focus on the games now, but I think if we keep improving at the pace we are improving right now and just keep focusing, we will win this split definitely.
I like it. I love the confidence, Marcoon, and obviously great to see you in the roster. And I really enjoy seeing up and coming jungle talent who hopefully will continue to explode and maybe see you on the LEC stage one day. So thank you so much, Marcoon. And
yeah, thank you.
Chat to you soon.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah, Marcoon does just look young, though, to be fair. He makes me feel super
old.
Young.
He is like super talented, I was like, super young. Great meme on social media as well. You should go follow him as well on social media.
Absolutely. And speaking of social media, if you want to catch up with all the games, make sure you go over to NLC LOL on our social media channels, on Twitter, etc. We do have loads of recaps. We got some banger memes. We have banger memes going out on NLC LOL. So make sure you go and follow those guys. And make sure you keep up to date. We also tweet a lot of the highlights from the games, but also we're giving away RP. You can go and check that out. It is the play of the day competition, so you can make sure you can go and get involved with some free RP over on those social media channels. But yeah, honestly, speaking to Marcoon, I did make me feel older than I actually am. I realized I've been in the League of Legends game a little bit too long.
You are quite old.
I am. Wait, how old's Marcoon? Is he 18?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so when I started playing League of Legends, Marcoon was 8. So when I started playing League of Legends, Marcoon was 8 years old. There you go. That makes me feel horrendously old.
Are we going to break that thing out? Are we walking through your life story? What was going to go on here?
Okay, right. Anyway, we've got Professor Jamada this time. One over the phase of the game. So let's dive into that. Professor Jamada, take it away.
Yeah, sure. So you had one session with Professor Gulborg. Now you have one session with Professor Jamada. So important things to know right here. Prior to this clip starting up, Tricked actually managed to find a pick onto Hatrix in the bottom side jungle. And they were kind of fishing around to see if they could force a numbers advantage fight in the mid lane. And this is why they're now retreating back into the river. Now, you can see there is a teleport coming up soon. It's only 2 seconds left on the death timer. And Tricked, their key target really has to be Deadly. But we'll see as the fight goes on, they're never really able to get on top of Deadly simply because of all of the, as Orcs so eloquently put it, the beefcakes on the side of BTXL. And from the BTXL side of things, really, this guy, Archu, okay, nice little circle there, has to die. He has to die in these fights, otherwise it's just... Tricked actually have a decent chance to take a fight. So you can see, nice engage, forces Flipper out to actually have to flash, and it's going to mean that Nile is going to end up being knocked up here. So Advienne doing a great job of actually just forcing the issue whilst he still can, because Paulson this whole time has been stuck up here, catching this mid wave and being zoned away from entering the fight on this front, just because of how XL have actually approached the fight. And from here, it's a real nice Seraphine Orma. It layers through all three members of Tricked. Doesn't actually hit Archu, but it's not really going to matter, as you're going to see Malphite Orma just lands. Archu basically just pops almost in the duration of the CC. And after that, the fight's pretty much done. Tricked, Flipper and Paulson do a good job of kiting back on the way out of the fight to actually almost make this comebackable. But honestly, there's not enough health bars going down. Oh, there's not enough health bars left. And at this point, Paulson just gets run down. Flipper runs for the hills. And even though Flipper is the only jungler left up on the map, he is way too low to come back and fight for the dragon.
Yeah, it was a game that I think like some of the early Dragon fights, we were seeing some even trades. We were saying, and I remember you guys saying off air, you were like, well, if this keeps up, if they're able to just delay it. And I remember Gulborg saying before the steal came through, he was like, if they get this Drake, if they get this one Drake and delay the soul, Tricked have a good shot here. But Marcoon, as he said, clutched the steal, which kept them on track, and Tricked unfortunately lost that window.
And that's the thing, like, those 5 minutes would literally have been what they needed to kind of come back here, because they were just so off tempo every time. Every time there was a reset coming through from BTXL, they had the objective control. Yet there was some clever catches from Trick that kind of make them come back into the deal. But the thing is, every time that happened, Hattrick still had TP, and they've wasted so many abilities on the side of Trick that they just couldn't do anything about it. But I gotta say, Marcoon stealing that was almost game winning. Like, that is almost the most pivotal part. It's just as important as the macro building up to it.
Yeah, and as he said, he very casually mentioned it, but it was a very pivotal moment in that game, and XL were able to use that platform to go on to get the soul and eventually go on to win the game. And there was a moment in that top lane red fight. We had the top lane red side jungle where we were kind of talking a little bit about what was going on, and obviously I think Hattricks had died very early on, as had a Chu. And I remember Jamada just saying, these guys just don't die. Like, they're just not taking any damage, and I think they just managed to run it down with pure HP bars. But hey, look, XL get the win. We're going to go to a short break. We have our third game of the day coming your way.